Border Security Officer Michael Torres thought he was just monitoring illegal crossings that night, until he encountered mysterious objects gliding over the desert on his thermal camera. The footage was so clear that his superiors immediately classified the file as confidential. Welcome to Shelley's Mysterious Files. Today I'm sharing with you the unexplained footage recorded by a Border Patrol agent on the Texas-Mexico border using thermal camera. We'll discuss the details of that night with Michael Torres. Michael, which area were you working in that night, and was it a routine shift?
Shelley, I was working in the Del Rio sector near the Rio Grande River. It was March 2022, a very cold night. I've been working for Border Patrol for 12 years. I usually prefer night shifts. That night I was on shift from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. It started like a routine patrol. We were monitoring illegal crossing activities. Nothing seemed strange at first.
What technological equipment were you using that night? Could you give some information about the thermal camera system?
We had FLIR thermal camera system, very advanced technology. Night vision camera is very effective for long-distance observation. It can detect human figures up to 5 kilometers. It senses body heat. We also had normal optical cameras, radar systems, and GPS tracking equipment. All images are recorded and transmitted to headquarters in real time. With these systems, we can conduct very effective surveillance even in desert environments.
When did you first notice the strange thing that night? What kind of image appeared on the thermal camera?
It was around midnight, about 12:30. I was patrolling in my normal routine. I know that area very well because I had been working in the same sector for 3 years. I saw strange heat signatures in the distance on the thermal camera. At first I thought it might be people making illegal crossings because activity usually increases after midnight. But when I zoomed in, I saw something I never expected. 3 large oval shapes were hovering about 50 to 100 meters above the ground. Their size was incredible, at least 10 to 15 times bigger than a normal person, maybe 30 to 40 meters long, and they weren't moving at all, as if they were held in perfect balance in the air like magnets. I've been doing this job for 12 years. I've seen helicopters, planes, drones, but I had never seen anything like this. It appeared very clearly on the thermal camera. The heat signatures were very distinct and regular.
When you saw these strange thermal signatures, what was the first thing that came to mind? Did you try to verify with other equipment?
The first thing that came to mind was maybe they could be helicopters, but there was no sound coming. Desert nights are very quiet. You can hear engine sounds from 2 to 3 kilometers away. I immediately switched to optical camera, but nothing was visible in normal vision. They were only detected on thermal camera. I checked the radar system. There was nothing there either. This was very strange because objects of that size should definitely appear on radar.
What does it mean that they're only visible on thermal camera? How could this situation be technically possible?
It was a very strange situation, Shelley. Thermal camera detects heat radiation. If an object emits heat, it appears on thermal camera. But not appearing on normal optical camera means those objects weren't reflecting visible light. Not being seen by radar is also very strange because radar works with electromagnetic waves. This shows that these objects had very different technology. It's as if they only emit heat but leave no other electromagnetic traces.
How long did these 3 objects stay there, and how were their movements?
They stayed in the same position for about 45 minutes. They didn't move at all, as if they were fixed in the air. During that time, I constantly checked the camera, tried to verify with other equipment, but the same image was always there. Then suddenly, without any warning signs, they started moving. They were making very fast and sharp maneuvers, suddenly to the right, suddenly to the left, up and down. It was as if gravity didn't affect them. These movements aren't possible with any known aircraft because G-force would kill humans in such maneuvers. Even F-16 jets can't make such sharp turns. But the strangest part was that despite making such fast and sudden movements, they still made no sound at all. Even a normal helicopter can be heard from 1 kilometer away, but these were completely silent.
While watching these extraordinary movements, what were you feeling? Were you scared?
I was both scared and mesmerized. I've been doing this job for 12 years. I've seen a lot of things, but I had never seen anything like this. Adrenaline was rising, but at the same time I was very curious. My hand was shaking. I was trying to focus on the camera because nobody would believe it. I kept pressing the record button constantly. I wanted to make sure everything was being recorded.
Were the recordings successfully taken? How was the image quality?
Yes, I took very clear recordings. The thermal camera images were crystal clear, as if they were shot in a studio environment. The shapes, movements, heat signatures of the objects appeared very detailed. I took about 30 minutes of uninterrupted recording. I didn't take any breaks because nobody would believe it. The images were so clear that it was very obvious these objects weren't normal aircraft. Their shapes were perfectly oval. Their surfaces appeared smooth on thermal camera, with no indentations or protrusions. The most striking aspect was the equal heat distribution. In normal vehicles, the engine part is hotter. Other sections are cooler, but in these, everything was the same temperature. This was very abnormal because no machine shows such perfect heat distribution. Also, the image quality was so good that I could examine surface details by zooming in.
Who did you share these recordings with? Did you immediately report to headquarters?
I immediately reported to headquarters by radio. I said, "I've detected 3 unknown aircraft in Sector 7. No radar image, but clearly visible on thermal camera." At first they said, "Don't report without radar confirmation." But when they saw my recordings, their tone changed. The order came, "Send the images to headquarters, move away from the area." This wasn't normal at all. Usually more investigation would be requested.
Did headquarters get back to you about these recordings? Did any official explanation come?
A few days later, my superiors talked to me. They said, "These images require confidentiality. Don't share with anyone." In the official report, it was recorded as meteorological anomaly. This was ridiculous because no meteorological event moves like that. When I asked questions, I got the warning, "Don't dig into this subject too much." It was as if higher authorities knew about such events and wanted to keep them secret.
Were you assigned to that area again after this incident?
No, I was never assigned to that area again. They said due to rotation as an excuse, but I always worked in the same area. I started being sent to other sectors. This also showed me how sensitive this subject was. It's as if such events happen more frequently in that area and they keep experienced personnel away from there.
Have you heard similar experiences from your other colleagues?
Yes, but most are reluctant to talk about it. Agent Rodriguez once asked me, "Did you see them too?" Agent Martinez said, "Sometimes things that aren't on radar appear on thermal camera, but everyone stays quiet in official conversations because such reports can end careers. There's a risk of security clearance cancellation."
What is the risk of security clearance cancellation? How does discussing these subjects affect careers?
Working in Border Patrol requires high security clearance. If there's suspicion of psychological instability or unreliability, this clearance can be canceled. Saying you saw UFOs is considered a sign of detachment from reality by some administrators. That's why most of my colleagues stay quiet. The risk of job loss is very high. I only dared to speak after I retired.
Did you do research on this subject after you retired?
Yes, you could say I became obsessed with this subject after I retired. I read similar experiences on the internet, joined organizations like MUFON, participated in UFO research groups. The most surprising thing was learning that many border personnel had experienced similar things, not just in my sector, but also at Arizona, New Mexico, California borders, especially at the Texas-Mexico border. Such events happen very frequently, like a weekly routine, but they're all kept secret. They don't exist in official records. The more I talked, I realized there's like regular UFO traffic in that area. Some former employees say they've been there much longer than us. Some have even heard old legends from local tribes saying sky people have been seen in that area for hundreds of years.
Why might UFO activity be intense in this region? Do you have a theory?
I have several theories. First, border areas are usually sparsely populated and deserted. They could be safe transit routes for UFOs. Second, the Rio Grande River might be an important water source for them. Third, maybe they're observing human mobility, activities like migration, smuggling, or maybe they have a secret base there.
Do you remember physical details about the objects you saw that night?
I remember very clearly all three objects were oval-shaped, maybe 30 to 40 meters long. They showed equal heat distribution on thermal camera, which means their surfaces were very smooth. There were no protrusions, wings, or propellers. The most interesting part was that their heat signatures were very low, as if they were using very little energy. Normal helicopters' engine heat is very high.
What does this low heat signature mean? How can it be explained technically?
That's a very interesting point. If these objects are hovering in the air, they should have very powerful engines. Powerful engine means high heat. But these showed very low heat. This shows they have very advanced technology. Maybe they use anti-gravity technology. Maybe they have very efficient energy systems. It can't be explained with our technology.
What are the things this experience taught you?
The most important thing I learned is that our government knows much more about these subjects than we do. The speed at which my recordings were classified shows there's a systematic approach. I also learned to be open-minded. The universe is very big. There might be civilizations more advanced than us. And finally, I understood the importance of sharing the truth. People have the right to know these things.
Where are the recordings now? Do you still have access?
The official recordings are in headquarters archives, but I don't have access. All my clearances were canceled after I retired. But I had my own personal copies. I kept them. Of course, sharing these isn't legal because they're classified as confidential. But at least I could keep them in my memory and notes. Maybe I'll find an opportunity to disclose them in the future.
How are you sharing this information without violating laws?
I try to be very careful. I don't give specific locations, exact dates and times. I limit technical details. I share my general experience but don't give information that would jeopardize operational security. Also, since I'm retired, some restrictions have loosened, but I'm still taking risks.
Is this risk worth taking? Why did you decide to speak?
Because people have the right to know the truth. The government is hiding this information, but why? If there's a harmful situation, the public should know. If it's harmless, then there's no point in hiding it. I served my country for 12 years. I have a duty to protect taxpayers' rights. And maybe other people like me will also find courage. The truth will come out.
Do you think there will be more openness on these subjects in the future?
I hope so. Pentagon's UAP reports are promising. Some representatives in Congress are bringing these subjects to the agenda. Maybe in 5 to 10 years we'll be more transparent. But there are very powerful interests to keep this information secret. Military technology, national security excuses, full transparency will be difficult.
Are these objects a threat from a border security perspective?
That's a very important question. If unknown objects are moving freely in our borders, this is a security vulnerability. But in my 12 years of experience, I never saw any of them exhibit harmful behavior. They seem to just be observing. Maybe borders aren't important to them. For an advanced civilization, human borders might be meaningless.
Do you have advice for other border personnel?
Keep their eyes open, but be careful. If they see something like this, it's important to record it. But they should think twice before reporting immediately. Their careers could be at risk. It's good for them to tell someone they trust so they don't feel alone. And they need to be patient. Maybe these subjects will be discussed more openly in the future.
Finally, what are the things this experience added to you?
I understood that the universe is much more mysterious than we thought. For 12 years, I tried to protect borders, but maybe the real border is our boundary of understanding. I also grasped the importance of telling the truth. Staying silent is sometimes complicity. And most importantly, I learned to be open-minded because unexplainable things are happening in the sky, in the desert.
Michael, thank you very much for this brave testimony. Sharing the truth by risking your career is commendable.
Thank you, Shelley. I hope other border personnel will also find courage and the truth will come out. This isn't just individual experience, it's a matter of national security and transparency. People have the right to know.
Listeners, you have heard this incredible experience of Border Patrol Agent Michael Torres, who recorded with thermal camera on the Texas-Mexico border. Next week, we'll be together again with another mysterious incident encountered by a security personnel. Thank you for joining us.